Okay, hello. I think I've got it. Just gonna double check. There we are. Okay, I think we are good to go. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. My name is Victoria Jones. I am the owner of Fraser Valley Lash Academy, and I am a certified educator with Fix Beauty through Fix Beauty and Nella. And I have designed this wonderful Lash Academy. And I'm really excited to be able to offer you guys some really good content that hopefully will help you with your lash business. So I'm just going to jump right on into this. We're talking about the science behind cyanoacrylate today. One of my favorite topics, by the way. I could go on probably for 2 hours and talk all about adhesive and everything. So I've really condensed it today. I hope to keep this to about 30 minutes. Might go a little bit longer. If you have any questions, feel free to just write it in the comments, and I will get to them after I'm done the slides here. Okay, so first things first, when it comes to the adhesive, if you don't understand the properties and how the adhesive is working, you will come across just issues in your day-to-day with the lashing, especially during times when the seasons change. Maybe you have to adjust your rooms. So long story short, all lash adhesive contains these 4 ingredients that you're seeing on the screen right now. Number 1 ingredient is going to be the cyanoacrylate. Second ingredient is shortened to PMMA abbreviation. It's a polymer. So basically what happens in the chemical reaction, the polymer is what turns the cyanoacrylate into more of a plastic, right? So along with those 2 ingredients is always going to be a stabilizer, just to make sure all of these 3 ingredients are working together and creating a really, really strong bond. Now, there's a lot of new lash glues out there. Most glues that are black, all glues that are black contain carbon black. Now I'm starting to see a lot of clear adhesive available on the market. Of course, the clear adhesive will not contain carbon black, so that ingredient will be out. And then I'm also seeing colored glues come out. I've seen a pink and I've seen a brown. So of course, instead of carbon black, you might see on the ingredients list, whichever color dye or something, right? So when it comes to the cyanoacrylate, there's actually 3 different kinds available. So you can get out your lash glue if you like, and have some fun with me. Here, I'm just gonna try and see what's the better view so you can see me, maybe like that. So yeah, if you have your lash glue available, you can turn it around. There should be the ingredients on the bottle. And this is really, really good to know, especially if you do struggle with retention. You want to know what kind of cyanoacrylate you are working with. Okay, so the 3 common types is going to be methyl. There's ethyl, ethyl 2, and then there's acyl. And I'll explain the difference between the 3 of these. They are very different, and which one is the best to use. So when it comes to the methyl cyanoacrylate, this is actually found in the older styles of glue. It's not temperature and humidity sensitive. or it's not temperature and humidity resistant. It's definitely not oil resistant. It is actually the weakest, most toxic kind of lash glue. So unfortunately, that's in the past of lashing. And it did create a negative stigma when it came to getting your lashes done, because either we were telling our clients not to ever wash your lashes. And a lot of people experienced allergies at the beginning, and it is because of the product that we were using, let's say 10 years ago. Okay, so if you're still using a glue that contains the methyl cyanoacrylate, I do suggest doing a little bit of research. You can reach out to me. I do have my own brand. Yeah, methyl is kind of the old school. So ethyl and ethyl 2, this is the main type of cyanoacrylate that we are using today. Okay, all high-end adhesives are going to be an ethyl or an ethyl 2. So you're going to see that as an ingredient. It's found in almost all modern lash glues today. It is the most strongest, and it also creates an elastic bond. Okay, so once it's cured, it is temperature, humidity, and oil resistant. Okay, so that's where we're seeing a really amazing retention nowadays when it comes to cyanoacrylate. And then the last product is on the bottom there, and it's called Acyl. And you're actually going to see Acyl probably mixed in as a blend with an ethyl or ethyl 2 product. This is almost like a watered down version. You're going to see it in sensitive glues. Okay. And the reason being is it's not as strong. So with the sensitive lash glues, you're going to actually probably experience less retention rates, and definitely less sensitivity with your sensitive clients. However, it is more of a weaker product, which is why we don't just make a Acyl type of cyanoacrylate. Does that make any sense? Yeah, so again, okay, so with cyanoacrylate, so I don't think I said this at the beginning. So the important thing that you need to understand about our lash glue is that the cyanoacrylate doesn't dry. Okay, it's not a drying thing. It's not like typical glue, household glue or wood glue or whatever. It has a curing mechanism that needs to be activated in order for the molecules to start to harden. Okay, so in order for us to fully understand how to control this glue, we do need to understand the curing mechanisms. So there is actually three curing mechanisms that do need to be activated in order for the glue to cure properly. Okay, so once the curing mechanisms have been activated, it will take a period of 24 hours for all the adhesive to be fully dry. I mean, there's other products that can be involved, such as Super Bonder, that can kind of speed up the curing mechanisms. But 24 hours is still kind of the regular window, okay, if you're just using our traditional cyanoacrylate glue. Now, UV glue, that's something for a completely different day. UV glue does contain cyanoacrylate. It is still a cyanoacrylate base. However, instead of using these three curing mechanisms that I'll explain about in a second here, it has a different product in it that allows the UV light to cure properly. Okay, so in traditional cyanoacrylate lash adhesive, the curing process will begin once the adhesive comes in contact with those three: moisture, oxygen, and hard surfaces. Okay, so the adhesive is not going to just dry on its own. It does need to have some sort of moisture available, present in the air, or through a nanomister. Oxygen, again, oxygen is just kind of in the air, so it's not really something that we really use. However, this is where our lash fans come in, and we use our lash fans to force more oxygen to trigger those curing mechanisms in our adhesive. Okay, and then hard surfaces. Of course, we are lashing, so we are taking that lash glue and attaching it to a hard surface. So when all these three curing mechanisms are in play, we should have really great retention. So the curing process does have a scientific name for it, and it's actually called polymerization. Okay, so polymerization is when the cyanoacrylate physically changes from a liquid to a hard plastic. Okay, for the reaction to complete correctly, hydrogen molecules need to be present in both the air and the surface of the adhesion. Okay, so this is why we should still be using our nanomisters. I am starting to see a lot of people, they don't use them anymore because they can just get away with a super bonder, which, you know what, honestly, it's going to be personal preference. I've continued to use my nanomister. I feel it just provides a little bit extra level of customer service. The clients love it, so why take it away, right? And I really do feel like it does help with curing the glue a little bit faster than if I hadn't used it. Okay, so some other tools that you can use to help speed up the curing process. The number one thing, okay, at the beginning is going to be primer. Primer is not something that gets to be used all the time. But there is certain times where primer is necessary. Okay, so the primer is actually going to be removing any extra dirt and oils away from that lash line and on the lashes, so that you're able to get a really nice bond. Okay, and then there's another product called Super Bonder. It's also called Adhesive Accelerator. It's a really, really great product. I really recommend adding this to your lash cart if you don't already have it. I'm going to explain very shortly kind of the steps into what you should be doing in a couple slides here, and the process on how you go about using all these products so that you are able to be experiencing amazing retention. So shock polymerization. So this is what we want to avoid when it comes to curing the lashes. So polymerization was the process of us activating the glue and making it go from a liquid form into a plastic form, right? So shock polymerization is when we are using our curing mechanisms, but too much or too fast. Okay, so it's going to basically what it's going to do is it's going to create a weak base. Okay, so if you are accidentally adding too much moisture, or you use too much primer and you didn't allow enough time for it to dry, or another thing could be if the client starts tearing up and getting really sensitive for whatever reason, and their eyes are really watery, that can cause shock polymerization. Also, if you have a humidifier in your room, which I do highly suggest unless you are working in a condition that has really good HVAC system. So if you have your humidifier too close to your client where the mist is actually going like right on their face the whole time, that could cause shock polymerization. Allowing the lash extensions, applying the lash extensions on wet natural lashes. Actually, I just said that one. And then another big thing that we don't think about is chemicals in the air. So having chemicals present in the air when you're lashing, it can also affect the way how the glue reacts. So definitely be mindful of that. So if you are someone that does other services besides just lash extensions, i.e. brow laminations and lash lifts, make sure that if you are in the habit of putting all your garbage in the garbage can at your lashing station, you might want to switch that up before you start lashing after you do like a brow lamination or a lash lift, because those chemicals are present in the air now, and it can affect the way how the molecules are just kind of doing their thing and getting to know each other when you're lashing, right? So this is a pretty good example of what shock polymerization looks like compared to what the adhesive should look like when it's cured properly. So that nice dark black blob, that is a beautiful little piece of lash glue that has cured correctly, slowly with just enough time. Okay, it's nice and solid and matte and black, as opposed to the other one there that has turned white and it looks like kind of like the surface of the moon. Literally, if you have like come into a situation where you accidentally shock polymerized your client's lashes, they're probably going to be messaging you pretty much within 2 to 3 days, saying, hey, you know, like my lashes aren't lasting. You're going to bring them back in and you're going to actually see that the adhesive has turned white. Okay, so just one thing to keep in mind, although it's fun to use our nano misters and our super bonders, it's really important to be mindful of how much and when you're using it, just to avoid that whole situation with the shock polymerization. Because the last thing we want is weak bases, right? We just spent all that time making the lashes look beautiful and applying them. We really want to make sure that they're sticking. So talking about post application. So once you're done the client, this is kind of like my recommendation. It's actually kind of like the guidelines for curing the lashes. So Nanomister should only be used 2 to 4 minutes after you have applied the very last lash extension. Okay, so that's where we're going to avoid the shock polymerization. So just make sure that you are not using your Nanomister like right away. You're finishing. You want to just really take your time after you're done the set. Brush out your client's lashes, watch the clock. I have a clock beside me and I always watch the clock. I'll have a little fan going and it just kind of bypasses the time for about 2 minutes before I can start that nano mister. Now for the super bonder is going to be the exact same process. The super bonder is going to neutralize and seal the glue fumes to make the bond non-porous and more elastic. Okay, so again, you need to wait 2 to 3 minutes after the application before you apply the super bonder. It's really important to understand when and how to use the super bonder. With the super bonder, less is more. So you really want to, if you're going to use a micro swab, you want to just dab it on either a towel or like something sanitary after you have applied the super bonder to it. And then you're going to apply it just to the bases of those lash extensions. Okay. Now, if you're working in a hot or humid environment, let's say if you are working above 24 degrees Celsius and your humidity is really out of whack, like 65% humidity, please just completely avoid the super bonder. like 100%, because most likely the glue is already doing its thing, and you don't want to disrupt the bond that has already started with that. Okay. So one other thing I want to mention about the nano mister. The nano mister is to be used about 30 centimeters away from the face. So it's not going to be a super close. It's going to be a nice mist from above the head, and you're going to just gently go back and forth. So it's a very light mist that's going to go on their face. Okay, so monitoring your lash room. This is still quite common for many lash artists. Whether you work in a facility that has really good temperature and humidity regulation, and you've got a fancy HVAC system, I still do recommend just getting one of these hygrometers just to monitor what's going on for those days that maybe the weather's been unpredictable. Who knows, right? It just takes any guesswork out whatsoever. If you are in an area where you are lashing in an unair conditioned environment, or you have to use baseboard heaters, or you're just kind of in an older style building, definitely I always tell my students, just get two of these, because one can say one thing and then the other one can say another thing, or the battery could be getting low in one, and in that case, like the second one, you might want to look at that reading and adjust your room according to that. Okay, so if you don't understand how and why you need to adjust your room, I will explain that in just a second. So for best retention results, here are the 6 steps that I really do recommend you getting into the habit with. If you are new to lashing and maybe you're struggling with having really great retention. So step 1, okay, you're going to use your lash shampoo. You're going to clean your lashes and rinse with lukewarm or room temperature water. Okay, you don't want to be using cold water to be washing lashes with, because keep in mind, you are washing dirt. You're trying to wipe away dirt and oil. And I just feel that if you are using cold water, it's going to be harder to loosen up any sort of debris. So lukewarm or room temperature water is definitely recommended. Step 2, if it's an infill, you're going to go ahead and remove the regrowth. If it's a brand new set, you're going to go ahead and do your mapping, and you are going to get the client ready. Step 3 is to apply primer to the natural lashes. Now, there are, just like the super bonder, there's specific times that you can and cannot use primer. Honestly, I only use primer when the client has arrived with makeup on, and there's some debris left there. Of course, we just use kind of whatever to clean the lashes with the lash shampoo. There's no way for us to 100% get makeup off. So it's kind of up to you on how you want to deal with those situations with makeup. Do not use primer with anybody who has very porous lashes. Porous lashes would be someone who, if they have naturally like really kinky hair, most likely their lashes are going to be really porous. I actually go pretty in depth in my fundamentals course about how to tell which lashes are porous and which ones are non-porous, and what to do in those situations. So if you want to know a little bit more about that, you can ask me for a free sample of my fundamentals course on my Lash Academy app. I'd be more than happy to give that to you to have a look at. Yeah, so one other thing about primer. I hate primer. I really do. Do not use it if your conditions are too warm or too humid. Okay, I think I just did mention that. So the glue is already going to be working well enough. So just really avoid using primer in the situations where are in a humid area. Okay, you don't want to be adding more moisture and causing shock polymerization, because it takes us so long to create these beautiful sets. We just need to do everything we can possible to make sure that they are lasting. Okay. Step 4, you're going to proceed with the lash service. You're going to design these beautiful lashes and just be creative. And then once you're done the full lash service, you're going to go ahead and you're going to fan the lashes for 2 minutes. And then you're going to go ahead and apply your super bonder. Okay. And then okay, after the super bonder, you're going to wait another 2 minutes. So you're going to put your fan back on. Okay, and then you're going to do that for another 2 more minutes. And then you're going to do your nano mister. Okay, you're going to mist those lashes, and your client's just going to feel amazing because they know that they're going to open their eyes and they're going to have this beautiful set, and they just had the nano mist done. The nano mist really helps remove any sort of fumes that might have been along that lash line. Okay, and then you're done. So you're going to go ahead, you're going to release those under eye pads. You're going to allow your client to open up. And you can also go ahead and finish off the service and offer a final, like a second lash bath at the end too, if you want. So that's something that's kind of like new and up and coming in the lash industry. I know a lot of lash techs have started providing lash wash at the end of the service as well. It really helps with sensitive clients, and they're just no longer sensitive anymore. So, okay, so about the humidity. Okay, so each lash glue has its own rating, and it's just different for different brands, and it all has to do with the PMMAs and the stabilizers that are involved with the cyanoacrylate, the different ratios and whatnot. Some are slower, some are faster. So for example, in my brand, the Fraser Valley Lash Academy, my level 1 pro adhesive, this is a slow drying glue that I give to all of my beginner students. It's rated for 35 to 50% humidity. Okay, so if they are lashing outside those perimeters, it's either going to slow the glue down and they're going to have a lot of problems, or it's going to speed the glue up, and the glue is going to dry faster than they're applying the lash extensions, right? And then, of course, the heat as well, whatever your temperature of your lashing room is also going to come into play. So if you are lashing below 18 degrees, it's going to be quite cold in there. Not only is your client going to be cold, but your products are going to be cold. So your glue will be affected. Okay. I find if my room gets above 24 degrees, the lash glue again starts kind of getting tacky and sticky. I have to make some adjustments to my services. Okay, so with your glue, you do want to, I don't care what the manufacturer says, you need to make sure that you're replacing your glue at least once a month. Okay, so it might seem like a lot, especially if you are just starting up and you only maybe do 1 or 2 clients a week. It's like, oh, I'm constantly having to buy lash glue. Lash glue is very expensive. So I don't care what the other places say. A lot of places, they're actually, what I found out, some places are saying our lash glue is good for 3 to 4 months. That's actually if it's unopened. They're not telling you that. They just want you to buy their glue, and you're going to be using the glue after like a month and a half, and you're going to be like, why is it not working properly? It is what it is, right? As soon as you open the glue, it's being exposed to the environment, right? So every time we squeeze that little glue bottle, air is going to go in. So You can do whatever you want, but I always tell all my students, just replace your glue once a month, okay? You can put it on auto ship with some places. My brand of glue, I actually, because I'm not like a lash supply store. It's not my main bread and butter at the moment, anyways. So my lash glue is actually fairly low cost, although it's a very high quality product. Okay, so definitely take a look at my brand if you want. So one other thing I want to mention about your lash glue, you need to make sure you're shaking it. Okay. You need to shake it. When it's the first time, you're going to shake it by hand for 5 minutes. Okay. It's not going to be a dinky little, oh, it's going to be a really hard, like you're going to have to really, really mix up your lash glue. Okay. For the very first time. So make sure you shake your glue for 5 minutes. And then every single time after that, like during your services, in between glue dots, you're going to want to shake it for like 30 seconds to a minute. You can get those glue shakers. They work pretty well. So of course you can just reduce the time. I'm going to say about half. So if it's brand new glue, you shake by hand for 5 minutes, or you can use the glue shaker for about 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, so you want to store it in an airtight container at room temperature. So that's always a really good idea. Airtight container can be anything from like something like this, which is like a glue container, right? Or you can find a Tupperware container, put a little bit of rice in it. That's always really helpful. And it just kind of maintains the integrity of the lash glue. Okay, so if you are into a faster drying glue, I do also have my Rapid Bond glue, which is a 0.05 dry time. So it helps improve your time with lash sets. You're less likely to experience wicking, which is something that happens during handmade volume lashing. And it offers better retention. So one thing to keep in mind with your slow drying glue, the beginner's glue, it's going to have that acryl product in it, which weakens the cyanoacrylate, and it's not going to be as long lasting. Okay, which is why it's designed for beginners, because it's really only going to last the client 2 to 3 weeks. It's not going to be on there long enough. It's for beginners, so it's designed for beginners. Whereas the Rapid Bond is more of a higher grade. I am seeing like 6+ weeks with my clients. And the dry time can actually be adjusted by you understanding how to adjust your room. Okay. So even though it's a 0.5 second dry time, it could be as long as a full minute, just depending on your humidity in your room. Okay, so you want to add humidity to speed up the glue. So we're going to be adding the moisture into the air. If you really want faster drying glue, I really don't recommend any faster than 0.05. To slow down the dry time, you're going to remove humidity with a dehumidifier. And here's the specs for my Rapid Bond Pro adhesive. The specs are all on the containers that they get shipped in. So temperature range, again, 18 to 24 degrees Celsius. This is pretty much across the board with almost every lash glue. Okay. They do say there's different places that offer wider varieties, but really the variety really kind of depends on your personal preference and the room that you're lashing in, right? Humidity range for that 0.05 second dry time, your humidity range is going to sit around 45 to 55%. Okay. So retention rate with it is 6 to 8 weeks. It is a medical grade, latex free, thin viscosity glue. It's really awesome. Let me know if you want to try some. I'd be happy to send you them. And I'm just going to finish this off with a kind of an introduction to different products if you're brand new. So number one is the adhesive, which we just talked about for the last little bit here. And that is what's used to form the bond of the extension for a long lasting effect for the lash extensions. Primer, I very briefly spoke about it. Primer is used to stabilize the pH balance in the lash and remove oils. So that's why I said there's specific times when you should only use primer. It's not an every client thing. Okay, so you really need to understand primer, when, how, and why to use it before you just start using it. Super Bonder, this one is definitely a must-have for every lash artist. It's pretty straightforward to use. Yeah, it's amazing. So it basically what happens is that it's used to cure the outside layer of the adhesive and adjust the molecule so that the plastic is a little bit more flexible. Okay. And then a removal solution. So this is used to disrupt the bond within the adhesive for easy removal process. So if you ever need to remove the lashes, definitely make sure you have a removal solution. Actually, before you do any sort of lashing on a human being, make sure you have a removal solution. So yeah. I think that's it. So if you guys have any questions here, I'm just going to double check the group here. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, I don't see any comments. So if you do have any questions or anything, you can just drop it in the comments there, and I will see them a little bit later, and I can get back to you. Anybody who's new in the group, welcome. If you've asked me to reach out, I will get to that later on tonight, hopefully. I've just been really busy. It's Christmas season coming up, so I do lash full-time still. So yeah, I'm going to get to you. I know there's about 3 of you there waiting probably to hear from me. So I apologize for the wait. I see you and welcome. So that's it for now. I will post a little bit later what my next tutorial is going to be and when. It won't be until January. So this is the last video of 2024. So yeah, if you have any questions, please do go ahead, just post them in the group, and I will see you again very, very soon. Bye for now.